Well, I'm meteorologist Vin Crosby from the Weather Show at Vin Crosby. Let's get right to it. Hurricane Florence now, the major hurricane that everybody has been talking about. It is really strengthening, getting up close to Category 5. It may become a Category 5 before it's all said and done, and then weaken as it gets closer to land. Look at this picture. You can see this giant eye of the hurricane. I've been in several of these eyes of the hurricane, and the winds, they are calm inside there. There's an incredible amount of convection and thunderstorm activity swirling around that eye. We call it the eye wall. That's where your highest wind speeds are. And in this case, up over 145 miles per hour, 150 miles per hour, and some higher level winds, probably even higher than that right now as this storm continues to get over some real warm waters out there in the Atlantic. Temperatures of those water temperatures are in the 80s, and so that's really helping this thing to spin. And if you look real closely, you can see that column, circular column, right down in through the eye, and then those clouds are billowing up over 30,000 feet and even higher than that. Why are hurricanes so dangerous? Because they're so large. And boy, the track of this one is going to be interesting. So far, so good as far as the track. Next couple of days look to be right on the money as far as the National Hurricane Center is concerned. But there is a little speculation now as it gets closer to land on where it's going to go. This thing does have the chance of stalling or slowing down. Right now, the forecast track takes it on in through North Carolina, right up along Interstate 40, going up towards the Raleigh-Durham area. Now, I have been in a storm, Hurricane Fran in '96, that was almost identical to the path of this storm, and it was just destructive. Now, let's take a look at what I think is going to happen here. You can see the forecast track takes it by Thursday just offshore of the Wilmington area, southeast North Carolina, but the size of the storm clearly covers the whole state. The winds, the rain are all going to settle in before that eye where the strongest winds are get inland. So it's going to be really devastating prior to even that eye coming through. The problem with these storms, they dump a tremendous amount of rain as this storm pokes its way on up towards southwest Virginia. That's the latest forecast track from the National Hurricane Center Forecast Center down there in Miami. But it could change as it gets closer to shore. The wind gusts associated with this are going to be pretty extraordinary, around 90 miles per hour along the track if it holds, and then you can see a big swath of 70 mile per hour or higher gusts, and then even 50 mile per hour gusts or higher across much of North Carolina. Why is this going to be a problem? Well, anytime you get landfalling hurricanes, you get high winds to go along with the rain. The rain is torrential with these storms. There's so much moisture in the atmosphere being squeezed out when that storm comes inland, the ground can't absorb it. And in North Carolina, because I lived there for 4 years and did many stories on the clay-type soil that exists there, they make bricks there because of it around Sanford, North Carolina, and that becomes like oatmeal. You throw that much rainwater in there. You throw 5 inches of rain on top of that, it becomes oatmeal. Now we're going to put maybe 20 plus inches of rain in some spots, and that's going to cause massive flooding. And the trees there are loblolly pines, and when those trees grow, their root base is horizontal. They don't get deep into the soil, and when the oatmeal takes place because of the heavy rains, a wind as high as 35 miles per hour can take down some of the highest trees. So when you get wind gusts, if this storm path holds, the wind gusts up over 50, 60 miles per hour, trees, and there are a lot of trees there, are coming down on cars, on houses. They're going to be uprooted. It is a nightmare. Going down I-40 to Wrightsville Beach from Raleigh, usually 2 hours. It took our team, when I was there, in the 97 plus hours to make that journey because of the trees down on the interstate. So that's what's coming your way, folks, if this storm holds true. The flooding rains are going to be enormous, and because of the chance that this storm stalls going in towards Thursday, Friday, Saturday offshore of North Carolina, that adds another whole scenario that could take place. So preparation is what you need to be doing. Listen to the authorities. Evacuate when they tell you to go, because there's another thing that happens with these monster storms, It's called storm surge, and that's when the water table raises and pushes the waves, which typically in these type storms are up around 15 to 30 feet. It raises that another maybe 10 feet. So now you got 45 feet of water, a wall of it, and that's what pushes onshore with what we call a storm surge. It takes everything with it, knocking down homes off stilts and blowing out walls. I've seen it, 5, 6, 10 feet of sand pushed through a house because the sand dunes are washed well inland. So that's what's coming on into North Carolina. The heavy rains and the power outages is just going to set up a real nightmarish situation. If the track holds true, and this does go up I-40, there are many ponds, many lakes, many areas with dams that are not going to hold the water. And that flooding is going to be extraordinary. I covered the Neuse River back in '96, and that came out of Falls Lake Dam. And boy, when that water gets up over the spillway and they can't control it, they have to release tens of thousands of cubic feet of water per second into the Neuse River, which will be under major flooding from the hurricane alone. There's nothing they can do about it. So it's going to be a real nasty situation if this storm does take that storm track and heads on up inland. And then that's another scenario. When it gets inland, up around the Roanoke area, back into portions of Virginia, those Appalachian Mountains, some areas are going to see tremendous amounts of rain. But, like I mentioned, there is a chance this thing could slow down. There is a chance it could meander along the coast. That's the worst case scenario for coastal erosion, flooding, and all the rain that could come from this system in eastern areas of North Carolina, northeastern areas of South Carolina, possibly, if the storm track holds, up into eastern areas and southern areas of Virginia. Now, this storm system will stay for a week or so, the remnants of it, when it diminishes in the Appalachians, and then be pulled north. So Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, you're going to get into some of this heavy rainfall and cause maybe some flooding conditions. And then the other thing that you've heard of, I'm sure already, is anytime a landfalling hurricane does come onshore, there's always a chance for small tornadoes embedded in the giant circulation. So that adds insult to injury. Bear down, hunker down, prepare now, prepare for long periods of no water, no electricity, ponds of water, mosquitoes, ideal conditions for disease with that ponding water, sewerage coming on through the water system. I mean, it really could be a devastating scenario with the track of this storm. So mind the authorities, watch the Hurricane Center's latest forecast. The big concern is when you go out 4 days, like Thursday, Friday, the margin of error could be 180 miles. So that's like the whole coast, or most of it, of North Carolina. So that's the center. That's kind of where you could offset. And then all that damage I just described for North Carolina could be in South Carolina, could be in Virginia, could be even further north. But right now, everybody's pretty confident that this thing is making a run in towards North Carolina, southeastern North Carolina, going in somewhere between Wrightsville Beach on up towards Cape Hatteras, and then where it makes landfall will depict on where the most damage will be. That's the latest I have for you. Wanted to bring you something here. I've got a lot of people back in the East Coast asking for it, and now you have it. Stay tuned to the Weather Show with Vin Crosby and all the other great resources out there. The beauty of today is there's so much information for you, the public, to stay informed. But the best thing that has to happen is people can share all the information they want. The Hurricane Center can share all the storminess and all the catastrophic warnings. But if you don't do anything about it, it's not worth anything, and your life certainly could be in danger.